This is the lesson video for Chapter 4, Part 1. Welcome to Database Management. My name is Jose Gomez, and today we're going to cover Chapter 4, Single Row Functions. The sections covered in this chapter are: describe various types of functions available in SQL, use character, number, and date functions in select statements. In the first section, we're going to cover describe various types of functions available in SQL, defining a function, and types of functions. SQL functions are broadly divided into those that calculate and return a value for every row in a data set, and those that return a single aggregated value for all rows. The following two areas are explored: defining a function and types of functions. A function is a program written to optionally accept input parameters, perform an operation, and return a single value. A function returns only one value per execution. First, we're going to cover case conversion functions. We have lower, upper, and initial cap. We're going to cover these in more detail in future sections. Here we look at character manipulation functions. Also, we're going to look at these in future sections. Here we have length, concatenate, substring, intstring, lpad, rpad, trim, and replace. Here we have the operating on numeric data. These functions, you probably have seen these already. Round, basically it rounds numbers; truncate, chops off sections of numbers; and modulus, which returns the remainder. We also have operating on data information functions. And these are months between, at months, last day, next day, sysdate, round, and truncate. Here we look at an example of a single row function, and let's go ahead and try this in SQL Developer. And here we're looking at the length function. So it gets first we look at the region ID column, then region name, and then from region name we get the length of the string, alright, and it's from the regions number. And this is just a basic example using length function. So if you see the results, we have region ID, region name, and then we have the column where we have our function. We asked to get the length of the string of region name. So region name has, the first record has 2 characters, the 3 and the 4, and we get a value of 2. Here, Great Britain, and it's 14 characters long, and so on and so on. Here we have multiple row functions. As the name suggests, this category of functions operates on more than one row at a time. Typical uses of multiple row functions include calculating the sum or average of the numeric column values or counting the total number of records in sets. These are sometimes known as aggregation or group functions and are explored in Chapter 6. Now we look at the second section of this chapter. In this section we're going to cover using character case conversion functions, using character manipulation functions, using numeric functions, working with dates, and using date functions. First we look at the lower function. We're going to go to SQL Developer. And first we're going to look at lower. We're going to get the lower of 100, a numeric value from Dual. If everybody remembers, Dual is a dummy table that we use for we can use for functions. And here we ask for the lower, and numeric values are not lowercase or uppercase, so we're just going to get the digits. This is similar. We ran it. It did the addition first, and then it got the digits. So it didn't have any effect the lower on numeric values. Now we come to a third example, and we're going to concatenate the string the sum, and then we're going to add 100 plus 200, and this has single quotes, so it's made into a string, and then we're going to get the equals 200. So I'm expecting that this is lower, so these are probably going to be in lowercase. So let me go ahead and run this, and yeah, the concatenation has all lowercase characters. Now the next example we're going to look at, we're going to get the lower sys date, and if everybody remembers, its sys date is the current date. Alright, so we got February in all lowercase. So our function lower converted the month of February into all lowercase. Now we go to the next example, and this is just adding the system date plus 2, which is going to get the date for the next 2 days, and February becomes in lowercase. Alright, let's look at another example for lower function. And here we're going to get the first name, last name, and then lower function for last name. And this is for the employees table. So we're going to run this. You get the first name, then the last name, and then we get the third column, which is the last name in all lowercase. So if we compare this to this, you know that everything's in lowercase, and these the regular last name as it's stored. Let's see how it's stored. And it's in the employees column. The last name is stored in first letter is uppercase and the rest are lowercase, so it's a mixed case. Alright, so this is how it's stored. But if we want to get it, if we want to display it in all lowercase, we use the lower function. When we run this statement, it's not going to change the actual data to all lowercase. It's just going to display it in the output, but it never changes the data. Okay. Now we go to the upper function. And again, the book has some examples on numeric values. And upper and lower don't affect numeric values. They do affect dates. See here, well, if we would have gotten just the regular sys date, we would have gotten the month in uppercase. So it's already in uppercase. So if we run upper, it'll just display it the way it is. So let's look at another example of upper. Here we're going to get the first name, last name, and the last name we're going to apply the we're going to get a third column with the last name, and we're going to apply the upper function. Alright, if you see, the last name values are in mixed case, but when we apply the upper function, we get them all in the uppercase. And remember, it'll never affect the real data. It's just how the functions The functions we're looking at will just will show us how to display the values. Here we have another example of upper. This is in the word clause. So we're gonna get all the records from the table countries, and we're gonna get country name. We're gonna look for an uppercase, and we're gonna get any string that starts with a U, capital U, has a capital S anywhere in the middle, and then it has a letter A, capital A, somewhere after the S. Doesn't have to be at the end. But it has to be after the capital S. Okay, so this string with wildcards. So here it converts. Remember, let me look at countries. Countries is in mixed case. Alright, so what it does here, we get the values in uppercase, and on the left hand side we get the country name, we convert it to upper, and then we compare it to the string. Alright, so let's run it. And if you thought we were only going to get United States, you were wrong, because Australia also has an A, an S, a U, an S, and an A. Alright, so this converted Australia into all uppercase, and then compared it to the all uppercase search string. Now we go to initial cap. This is the mixed case characters, and if we go to the let me see, let's go to employees, and employees, it uses mixed case for the first name, last name, not for email, but we're sure for the first name and last name. So let's go ahead and look at the examples. And again, this is looking at numeric data. So uppercase, lowercase, and initial cap don't have any effects on data, on numbers. It does have effects on dates, because it'll display the month however you wanted it to be displayed. Lowercase, the default is upper, so it doesn't make any difference if you use upper. Initial cap, it does capitalize the first letter of the month. Let's look at our third example. In our third example, it did capitalize the first letter of each word. Okay, so initial cap is made for strings, and we can also use it for dates. Now let's look at our next example. First, we're going to look at first name and last name for the employees table. And you can see that they're mixed case, right? First name and last name. So we run upper initial cap on first name and initial cap on last name. Since the data is already stored like that, it'll be just the same thing. So if we run it, it'll be the same thing. Let's look at another example, initial cap. And here we're going to get the last name. We're going to concatenate it with work as, and then we're going to add the job ID, and we're going to give it an alias of job description. Alright, so it capitalized the first letter of the last name, and then the first letter of each word in the concatenated string, and then he capitalized the first letter of the job ID. I think job ID is already, let me see, yeah, job ID is all caps, so here we got it in mixed case, right? So that's initial cap. This is the end of the lesson video for chapter 4, part 1.